Hello and welcome. I am Bri Grigsby, and I work as a guide with Aspire Adventure Running, and I want to welcome you to our first conversation in our series, Conversations with Badass Women. And we have a very badass woman who is going to be joining us this evening. The goal of this series is to inspire and encourage more women to get involved out on the trails. And one of the ways that we are hoping to encourage women to get involved in trail running is through our Adventure Women's Scholarship. Right now, women have the opportunity to apply for the scholarship. Go to the Aspire Adventure Running website. If you go under community events, you will find the application and instructions on how to apply. Applications are due on March 28th, and we're really looking forward to reading some great and inspiring and awesome stories. And so I'm going to go ahead and invite our first guest into the chat here. And then I'll give you an introduction to her. All right, welcome, Jackie. So tonight we are joined by Jacque Carillo. She is an indigenous runner in Tucson, Arizona, and one of my friends. I'm so happy to have you here. Thanks for being willing to chat with me this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I'm going to let Jackie go a little bit more into her background and her story. I think she has probably what is one of the most inspiring stories I've heard. And so I'm really excited for her to share that with you guys tonight. So Jackie, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, and I'd love to hear you tell us about kind of how you got into trail running and what your background and what your story is.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm Jacqueline Carillo. I am a new trail runner. And the reason for that is I've had a difficult life growing up. So when I was 9, I almost lost my mother to a rollover accident, including, having my little brother go into a vegetative state. This was an early February cold morning. So, as a 9-year-old, you don't get exposed to having to look for bodies. So eventually that claimed, the life of my grandmother and my brother. And thank God, by the grace of God, my mom's still here. So that alone was already a barrier for me to have even any sports growing up because, my mother was in rehabilitation, learning how to walk, talk, write all over again. And I didn't have access or the means to participate in any sports. So that eventually led for me to start drinking because I didn't have an outlet, and it led to me becoming an alcoholic. So I knew that I needed to make a change. One day I decided I'm just going to stop drinking and I'm going to go walk a trail down the street from my house. And keep in mind, I don't have any experience at all outdoors. And so I started, walking, not realizing how, one, lengthy it could be, and then two, how much time it takes to do a trail. So it started getting dark, and I have post-traumatic stress disorder because of that car accident, and that brings a fear of darkness to me. So I get anxiety. I mean, I go off. It's just not a great feeling being in the dark because of that. And I remember it started getting dark, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm terrified of the dark. So I started running, and that way I can get home faster. And I remember thinking, I no longer fear the dark. I feel at peace right now. Like this feeling, this is amazing. I want to keep doing it. And that's how I eventually started to trail run because of that feeling now. It's like instead of being fearful of the dark because of this incident, I'm now finding a peaceful outlet and a happy outlet to kind of, detour my depression from abstaining alcohol.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it
So that,
sounds like, yeah, what a rough experience to go through at such an early age. And yeah, I think, a lot of people end up turning to um, other, what may not be the healthiest coping mechanisms as a way of dealing with those, with the stress and with the mental health issues that come up
right.
from such trauma.
Yeah.
Um, So it sounds like running for you has been a big piece of your recovery and how you've been able to work on your mental health too.
Yeah. Yes. It's and mental strength, running in general isn't an easy sport.
Right.
It's very easy to give up, and especially if you're running for different reasons. I mean, you always find a reason to not want to go run.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, not always, but like for a new beginner, a new runner, it's like, yeah, do I really need to, but for me, I'm in survival mode. I can't refrain back to my old habits of drinking. I needed a healthier outlet, and discovering trail running for me was just, I couldn't stop doing it afterwards.
Yeah. Um, you said that, you kind of came to that point of deciding I need to stop drinking, and that's when you decided to start running. What kind of triggered that decision for you? What was the turning point?
I mean, at that time, I had my 2-year-old that was eventually going to start looking up to me and realizing and, holding memories. And I didn't want her to associate me, and having this outlet be a healthy outlet for her. I wanted to express that you can have a healthier outlet when you're not feeling, mentally okay. Go out for a run. Don't, you can refrain from other bad decisions. And to me, this just seemed like a healthier outlet for my 2-year-old. But, it's, yeah, I mean, that was basically it.
Yeah. And she definitely looks up to you.
Yeah, she really does love to join me on trail runs now. She's up to 2 miles.
Oh my
So
goodness,
I'm
that's
excited. I'm
amazing.
excited.
And how
Yeah,
old is she now?
she's 4.
She's 4 now.
Yeah.
Wow, two
So
miles. That's good
yeah,
for a 4-year-old.
she loves it. She loves trail running. So I'll
Amazing.
take her
Yeah,
with me here and there.
I saw that you had posted on your Instagram about how she said, "Mom, when can we go back to the trail?"
Oh, yeah. I'm like, let me put my shoes
So
on right now.
cute.
Yeah.
And I love the little videos you post of her like
Oh,
running.
thank
It's like the
you.
cutest thing ever.
She's the best.
So
She loves it.
you're doing such an amazing job of
Thank
like
you.
being such a strong woman that she can look up to. That's
Yeah. I mean,
incredible.
yeah, I mean, I kind of have to be, it's being first generation comes with a lot of hardships too. I mean, it's definitely different growing up. You don't have a lot of privileges like, most people do.
Right.
So,
Tell me more about that. Like, what was it like for you growing up as first generation?
well, I'm first generation. My mother is from Puebla, Mexico, and then my dad is from Nayarit, Zacualpan, Nayarit, which is, he's Cora, and it was difficult because you don't have the luxury of I mean, you're always anticipating, and I think a lot of my anxiety built from that as well, because in my, with us, we don't have a method of talking about things. We just don't. We keep it to ourselves. And um it for me, I just knew that like running was, as for my parents, it was a way of survival. And it's something that they practice, as rituals or ceremonies.
Hmm.
So I knew that, they didn't drink. I just developed that problem because of my accident. But yeah, I mean, first generation has a lot of pressure. It really does. And you don't have a lot of opportunities. Like for me, I wasn't an outdoor person whatsoever. I did not get to experience hiking
Mm.
or, anything because of the fear of possible deportation. So we really
Oh,
did,
wow.
we were really restricted, and we didn't really like to expose or overexpose ourselves because we just, there's a lot of fear and anxiety there. You want to stay together as a family. You don't want to risk
Right.
it. So, not having a lot of opportunity growing up. And that's why, I wasn't in any sports. That's why I didn't play any sports. And it's, it really is, it's different growing up being first generation than it would be like, my husband, for example, I mean, we're the same race, but our lives are
Yeah.
so different. Like
Yeah.
our upbringing is so different.
Uh-huh. Right. Right. So you didn't have that exposure that a lot of people do at like even like your daughter does now through you,
Yeah.
to being in the outdoors. And
So that led to a lot of failures and figuring things out the hard way when I started trail running for sure.
yeah. What's an example of something that you learned the hard way when you were starting out?
The heat.
Oh, yeah, living in
The
Tucson
heat,
is
no, you
hot.
cannot run in 104-degree heat and think that you're gonna be fine. No, like it really does. I mean, it's scary how fast the heat can creep up on you. It is absolutely terrifying
Hmm.
when you're running out of water and you're like, I still have this much to go. I mean, it's truly a scary feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I mean,
have
I wasn't
very,
conditioned. It isn't now for me, but in the beginning, it was because I wasn't conditioned whatsoever.
right.
It wasn't until I got a coach and I learned the heat acclimation and,
Uh-huh.
started training with my coach. So now, I have all the confidence in the world to run in the
Yeah.
heat.
Right.
But yeah, in the beginning, that was hard.
Yeah.
It's really,
Now you've developed the strategies of how to deal with
yeah.
it and yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
solutions and what you can do to
Uh-huh.
cool off. I mean, yeah, it is a strategy.
Yeah. Who's your coach?
Eve.
Okay.
Eve, yeah, with Rising Mountain Coach. Yeah, she's great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, kind of know her a little bit and I've heard
Mhm.
amazing things about
Yeah,
her.
she's
So,
great. She's so great.
yeah, awesome. But I wanted to ask you another question about kind of you touched on running being a part of your culture. And I'm just curious to hear a little more about that, about like how running is a part of your culture, like historically.
I mean, it was just a way, a means to survive, and for us, I mean, I know with our culture, a lot of the times we were also linked with long distance running because of, messengers. And
Uh-huh.
for me, I knew aside from that, I found my strength because, like I said, my mom is from Puebla and she immigrated here when she was 9 years old. So
Oh wow.
for me, running in the desert, on trail, in the heat, I associate myself more with her because if a 9 year old can do this with very little resources like food and
Mhm.
water for almost a month, I can run this much mileage in this heat with the bladder pack and nutrition.
Yeah.
So I dig deep into that when it
Uh-huh.
comes to running and connecting with me culturally as well because I know it's in me, but then I also come from a very resilient person who, commuted on foot with very
Yeah.
little water and food in the Sonoran Desert to seek a
Yeah.
better life. I'm like,
That's
I have it in
incredible.
me. I can run it. I know I can, and I will.
Yeah. And it sounds like you find a lot of strength in her.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. Um, you kind of already touched on some of the challenges that you've faced since you didn't grow up really being exposed to the outdoors very much and having to learn a lot of things when you started out as a new runner.
Yeah.
But are there any challenges that you've specifically faced as being like a female runner or as a woman of color?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't know if many people are aware, but like here we are the third highest number in the country here in Tucson for missing, murdered, and indigenous women.
Wow.
Um, and because of that, a lot of fear does come from running because of the color of my skin, the
Mm-hmm.
color of my hair. We are so underrepresented in the media
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
if a person of color, whether you are Black, brown, indigenous, you are less likely to get media attention. So, me going out there running as a female
Uh-huh.
with already unwanted, um, you know, uh, unwanted attention from particular males. But being also as a person of color, I have to remind myself that I not only have to face my safety because I'm a female runner, but also because women of color are more likely to not, I mean, the perpetrator, I mean, it's a perfect victim. You know, the
Mm-hmm.
perpetrator seeks people that aren't meant to be looked for. So, you know,
Right.
having those obstacles already, it is fearful. And I think that's why running in general for women and women of color, it can be something, you know, something that could refrain you from going out there and actually
Mm-hmm.
running or, you know, getting into the sport because of the fear that, you know, you could go missing or you're like a
Right.
perfect victim. You're
Yeah.
underrepresented. So,
Right. Right. And that's so wrong that, women of color are not getting the same
mm-mm.
attention as white women. It's just not fair at all. But
Yeah. I mean,
unfortunately, it's,
and you're right. And like you think of household names and, you know, you don't really think of women that have gone missing, but you don't really have a household name of a woman of color that has gone missing. So, I mean,
right.
that for me, that's a big challenge is a
Mm-hmm.
safety concern going out and running,
Yeah.
especially a female and a woman of color.
Yeah. Um, how have you dealt with that fear? Um,
You know, I take precautions, and I also run with a lot of groups. I definitely do a lot of group runs, and the reason for that is because when I am out, you know, I'm going to be out at night on the trails. I don't want
mm-hmm.
to be by myself, so we do, you
Mm-hmm.
know, our group runs at night, and then, you know, over the weekends we also do group runs. So I mean, for me, having that support system of women that I know
Yeah.
I can meet up with and they, you know, will go on a run with me or, and vice versa. You know, if someone invites me out, you know, hey, you want to go do one stretch, you know, can you pace me for this many miles? Absolutely. You know, it's just, you, running alone is great, but, for safety reasons, I mean, it doesn't hurt to even run with another person. So, I mean, that's how
Right.
I've dealt with it. It's just, I always know and inform, you know, people where I'm going. Here's my
Yeah.
link. This is where I'm going to be. You can follow me. But yeah, I mean, I always tell people where I'm going to be going and what time I should be expected to be back.
Right. Yeah, that's smart. Someone in the chat was asking, like, how can the trail running community help with this problem? And it sounds like groups have been a big part of your strategy in being safe out on the trails. But are there other things that you can think of that as a community we could do to help support women of color in being safer on the trails?
Yeah, I mean, definitely look into follow the accounts that are doing the work, follow the accounts of the people, you know, in your community that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, are advocating for these types of issues. I know I follow a lot of, you know, local um, individuals here that are putting in the work and making sure that, you know, these issues are addressed. So find those people and learn, you know, how do you support them? Like ask them, have a conversation. How can I support you? You know, and resolving these issues that we're encountering. So definitely look into your community and see who the individuals are putting in the work because that's really how you can make an impact is just support those individuals
Yeah.
in your community.
Yeah. Yeah. And the organizations that are already
Mm-hmm.
involved
Exactly.
in doing that work. Yeah. I can think of, Native women running.
Mm-hmm.
Are there other groups that you would recommend for people to get involved with?
Um, I mean, there's so many groups. Honestly, I have. I mean, I honestly would have to like look through my list. I can't
Yeah.
recall my name, but yeah, I mean, definitely, I definitely encourage you to. I mean, you would be surprised how many local individuals here in Tucson that are putting
Uh-huh.
in that. And it's an amazing it's a bigger picture. It impact you don't realize like how much it impacts your community unless you actually look for that. And you
Hmm.
know, like I said, it's so important to really get in touch with your community. So
Yeah.
definitely recommend that.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, how do you think that we can help increase, and I know we kind of talked about getting involved with those organizations, but how do you think we can help increase participation of women in trail running, and especially women of color?
For me, representation matters all the way. And I say that, I don't mean, I don't come from a place where it's, for me, representation is going out there, showing up. You would be surprised how many people are going to be out there that see you at a stoplight.
Mm-hmm.
And having someone's always going to be looking like, oh, there's a person that looks like me. They have the same color skin as me, the same color hair. They start identifying themselves as that could be me. Literally, I mean, representation matters. But when you go out there and just seeing a person of color, like for me, I know when I started trail running, I I was blown away with just how little diversity there was.
Mm-hmm.
Showing up to group runs, I was the only brown girl showing up to group runs. I kind of still am, but knowing that, I mean, seeing the women out, like for me, I follow Daisy, who is a local trail runner in California. And for me, when I saw her, I'm like, oh my God, there's another Mexican runner. Like,
Yeah.
I identified myself with that. And for me, I'm like, she can do all of these amazing things. I mean, she's summiting all of these peaks. And, I mean, her bravery just blew me away. And I thought, I'm going to go ahead. I want to be like her. So that's why I say representation matters, because you are literally motivating or encouraging people like you to go out and try
Mm-hmm.
these scary things, these uncomfortable. It's like her
Yeah.
thing is get comfortable with getting uncomfortable. And that's
Uh-huh.
exactly what she does. So because of her courageousness and her adventure racing, I myself was so inspired by that. And knowing that there's someone out there that's my race doing
Yeah.
all of these incredible things, I'm like, I can do that too.
Uh-huh. Right.
So
So,
for me,
and
it's
and you by
represent.
getting out there. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you by getting out there are doing the same thing for other women as well, and encouraging them to get out on the trails, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. You got to try
Yeah.
it. And if you don't want to try it alone, go with me.
Yeah.
Always tag me.
Yeah. Um, do you have something that you would say is your proudest accomplishment as a runner?
Yes, my proudest accomplishment is that I just continue to show up
That's
every
amazing.
every
That's
time.
awesome.
I overcame a really hard addiction. A lot of people can't really, swing that. I mean, I failed many times, but when I finally got it right, um, I took advantage of that, and I made sure that I made something good out of it. So
Yeah.
for me, overcoming, like, my biggest achievement is me. It's me
Right.
today. Like
Who
my
you
me
are.
as a person, who I am today, like this minute,
Hmm.
this is my biggest achievement
Hmm.
yet. So yeah, I'm really proud of myself.
I'm so proud of you too.
Thank you.
I'm just so inspired by your story, and just by how much you've overcome, like how much hardship you've been dealt out in life, and what you've done with it to get to where you're at now, which is just so incredible. Um,
Yeah, everyone's gonna have their barriers, but it's really, it's your journey and your journey only. And women can do hard things. Women can do hard things. I mean, I can't stress that enough. It's amazing to see women out there who are just coming back from giving birth or are pregnant and they're
right.
running. And I'm just like, women are amazing. They're truly incredible. And that's why I say, I mean, really surround yourself with your people. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just blown away with the community. And I think I'm successful where I am as far as running for myself, because I have women like you and, just out there just killing it. And I'm just motivated. I'm like, I'm gonna do that one day.
Well, Native Trail Thoughts just commented in the chat. I'm determined to join you, Jackie.
Yes,
So you're
we will.
inspiring other people tonight too
We
to get out
definitely
there
will.
and do it. Is there like a certain, like a trail or something that you have on kind of your agenda or your bucket list of things that you really want to do?
Um,
Anything specific?
well, nothing specific. I think this year for sure I'm going to register for Aerovipa races.
Ooh,
So I'm gonna be, yeah,
fun.
I mean, I see people talk, I see a lot of my friends out there like doing Black Canyon and,
Mm-hmm.
all of that fun stuff. So for
Yeah.
sure this year I'm gonna definitely give it a try with Black Canyon. Yeah,
Amazing.
so I'm
Yeah.
excited. We'll see how that goes.
You are such a talented runner. Like you mentioned, you're newer to trail running.
Mhm.
I think it's been what, 2 years now that you've been
Almost 2 years.
almost two
Yeah,
years?
next month, almost 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm just amazed uh with you. Not just your story, but again, you're a very talented runner, like I've told
Oh,
you
thank
before.
you.
So
It
yeah,
means
I'm
a lot
excited.
coming from someone like you.
Oh,
A
no,
lot.
I'm excited to see you crush it. Yeah, I mean, you're already crushing it, and
Yeah.
I'm excited to see you continue doing
I'm going
that.
to be really excited to see where my training blocks take me. I told myself this year that I'm just going to like see what I'm made of.
Yeah,
So that's going to be
yeah, you're
exciting.
made of strong stuff. I can
Yeah.
tell you that.
Yeah. I
um,
have to be.
yeah, I would like to share a quote from your Instagram if that's okay, because I think it's
Oh,
super
yeah.
inspiring. So I'm going to read this quote. So this is something you wrote back in July. Establish your goal and rise to the challenge. You were never meant to settle. You were destined to rise. Rise above all those who doubted you, who put you down, who did not support you. Rise higher than they could ever imagine. Make it happen, queens and kings. Shock everyone.
Yeah.
I just love that. So
I
inspiring.
wrote that quote after I received a message from a male runner that said I would never run an ultra.
Are you
And I'm
serious?
like, okay, I'm like, just watch.
Just watch me.
I will work in silence, but I
Yeah.
remember that quote specifically because when I was told that, I'm like, nope, you don't know my story.
I cannot,
So,
I can't believe like the gall of some people to say anything like that, but let alone like to someone like you, who's already
yeah,
overcome so much. And I don't know, but about you, but for me, when someone tells me that I can't do something, that is like my number one motivator to go and prove them wrong. So
yes,
I'm sure you were going to prove that dude wrong, and I can't wait to see
absolutely.
you do it.
Absolutely. I know I will. I know I can. I know I
Oh,
will.
you
I mean,
totally can.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like I said, this year is going to be a very exciting year for me. So I'm really
Yeah.
excited.
I'm so excited to see where it takes you too. Is there anything else that you would like to share in closing?
I mean, good luck to all the applicants. I really, I think it's a great opportunity, and I'm really excited to see, who's selected and how they're gonna just go out there and crush these races.
Yeah,
So
totally.
good luck,
So,
everyone.
yeah, thanks for joining us. And
No,
just another encouragement for everyone out there, women, to go and apply for the scholarship. One of the two scholarships is specifically for women of color. So we're trying to use that as an opportunity to promote getting more women of color out on the trails as well.
yeah,
So,
that's
and it'll be in a group setting, where you're going to have support and you're going to be surrounded by other women. And for that trip specifically, it's going to be all women of color. So it's going to be an awesome trip. So
yes,
go to the Aspire website and submit your application. And we look forward to seeing what everyone has to submit.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Jackie.
Thank
It was so
you.
fun chatting with
I
you,
know,
and
same
I'm
here.
so excited to continue watching your journey. You're
Yes.
amazing.
Thank you so much. Hopefully, I'll see you on the course one day.
Yes, for sure.
All right.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye.